Okay, so thank you. I am extremely excited to talk about our Pathway to Excellence strategic plan. Just want to start by saying a few things as it relates to this work. And I actually want to start with a quote. Normally I don't like to read slides specifically, but I will take a moment to read this one because this quote resonated with me on a number of different levels. And it is a quote by former OUSD Superintendent Dr. Marcus Foster, and it reads, "Our secret ingredient, and it's not too secret, is the professional skill and dedication of each member of our staff, certificated and classified. You see, that's where we are going to win. We'll have differences, but as long as we don't let those differences separate us and tear us apart in a disruptive confrontation, if we can believe in each other and stand on the common ground that children are what we are all about, if we do nothing to rob children of the opportunity to learn, if we are willing, whatever our adult differences may be, to work them out as professionals and adults, if we will not cause children to suffer while we solve our problems, we will make education work. Then we must be determined that after we have worked with our young people, those little tags they brought to us will never have written on them, reduced in value, cheap, but rather because they came to the Oakland Public Schools, because they've met you and have dealt with the schools across the city, they will have on their little tags of surpassing worth, increased in value." Dr. Marcus Foster, 1970, quote from Dr. Marcus Foster, 1970, folks, I found that to be extremely profound. Because before I ever got into this district, I was watching the school board, and I watched individuals who don't know me talking about who I am. I watched individuals engage in arguments that have nothing to do with children. They have everything to do with adults. I get it, though. Sometimes when you've had to fight and scratch and claw, you don't know any other way. Even when you have an opportunity to win sometimes, when you've been in that circumstance, you decide that I'd rather just fight, scratch, and claw. We have an opportunity right now in the Oakland Unified School District to make a tremendous difference. I have tried to model what it looks like to engage with individuals authentically. I have met with individuals in their homes, in their schools, their places of work. I have gotten to work extremely early. Now, that's just something I've always done. I've stayed extremely late. I will continue to do that. That's not new. That's what I'll do in year 1 or year 15. But what I will not do is listen to individuals who would rather spend time arguing, debating, and putting down other individuals because they're wanting to focus on the issues of students rather than engage in lifelong arguments about issues that impact adults. Now, that may be difficult for some to hear, but I wanted to take a moment to say it because you know who you are. You know who you were and have continued to be, arguing and talking about adult issues. And as we move forward on this pathway to excellence, and I think about this, 43 years ago, we had a superintendent saying these words. Why? Because there were adults doing this then. And it's time to stop. The individuals who are having a hard time with that, those are the individuals who did not clap. I'm going to move on. I have had an opportunity to engage with so many different people. And it's unfortunate because I cannot speak to the testimony of all of those individuals that I've had an opportunity to engage with. It's been 6 months, and 4 months officially, but 6 months for me on the ground. I actually stayed at the Marriott just because it was so important to me to get here and start focusing on Oakland. And what I heard from families is all over, and students, is they're extremely proud of this city. And the attraction that I felt is real. That the pride in being from Oakland and the hope that they have from Oakland is real. It's what I'd hope, because I've never lived in a place that has that type of pride resonate from each individual that I've come across. And I've lived in some tremendous places. But I was hoping that I would find on the ground what I saw in this city, what I heard about this city, and I just want to assure you that I have. One of the things that I heard repeatedly from individual after individual was the challenge they've had over the years in finding a quality school. It's not that they said there aren't any quality schools in Oakland. I can assure you I visited several. I was at Hillcrest Elementary School just yesterday. I was at Madison Park. A few weeks ago, I was at Parker Elementary School. I've been to Chabot, Peralta. I've been to Life Academy. I've been to Oakland International, Oakland Tech. So many schools, KIPP. I look forward to visiting all of the schools this year, speaking to faculty, which I speak to every week, directly answering every question, any question they ask me, and visiting classrooms and talking with students and understanding what they like and asking them if they're having any fun. But this one particular story from Emma Paulino resonated because I had heard it so many times. And what she talks about is her journey through OUSD being a difficult one. She talked about coming to Oakland as a non-English speaking immigrant. Looking back at when we started, she says, my kids had nice teachers, but not always the best teachers. She said, I wanted more for my kids. These teachers had courage to say to me, you are asking too much for your son. He is going to be an artist. And she said they were nice. She said, I believe that my son would have dropped out without the support of an organization like OCO, the Oakland Community Organizations. She said, when I saw the data about Oakland's flatland schools, the neighborhoods where we lived, it felt like a slap in the face. So I committed myself to work hard to make changes, to partner with the school district, to help build a structure that would support, that would help us overcome the challenges, and to organize parents. She talked about how they lived across from Manzanita. Said, soon I was in a position to build relationships with teachers and to help them help my children. From Manzanita, my kids were fortunate enough to go to Ascend. Going to Ascend was wonderful, she says. But seeing the kids who were left behind who didn't go to a school like ours was terrible. From my experiences at our schools, we learned how to work together and be in relationship. Today, I'm working at high schools, organizing and supporting around Fremont High School. We help others learn how to listen to parents' voices and how to raise the expectations that are too low for our high school seniors. Now, what I appreciated about the story was it wasn't about the schools that she ultimately chose. What I appreciate about the story was the fact that it was one about involvement, one about focusing on issues and solving problems, and believing that action and coming together to figure things out could work for her children. And the fact that she was able to talk about with great pride that her children were able to graduate resonated with me, because we want to ensure that all of our students do graduate. In fact, our mission is here that we want to build, that we will build a full-service community school district focused on high achievement. Folks, students attend school because they need to learn. And we want to do more than help them learn, but we must do that. Be like going to a great Mexican restaurant and saying, man, the Italian food there was really great. If you're going there for that a particular type of cuisine, you expect them to do a great job on that cuisine. We're here to educate students. And so we should be expected to do a great job educating students. And while we do that, we will serve the whole child. We will work to eliminate inequity, and we'll provide each child with excellent teachers every day. Who do we want to be? That's our vision. We will be a district where students find joy in their academic experience while graduating with the skills to ensure they are caring, competent, fully informed critical thinkers who are prepared for college, career, and community success. And the great thing about this work is we're already seeing examples of where we've made a difference. And we just pulled some articles that have been written about this district over the past several years, some this year, where we are making a difference. We are setting the stage for our students to be successful. Individuals are focusing on the needs of children. And when we do that, it pays off. So, the design process and the focus, as was mentioned, I have been in numerous engagements and spent time studying, understanding what's unique about this city, and there's so many things. This is a great American city. And the fact is, our country needs Oakland to work. Our country needs the citizens to rally around the school district, to rally around our students, to show the rest of the country what can happen when we focus on the needs of children. Because our country is in a place where if we don't do that, we won't have the opportunities, our students won't have the opportunities, our young people won't have the opportunities that were there for so many of us, or that so many of us sacrificed to provide for them. So I've studied. I spent a lot of time learning, doing as much reading as I can, but in conversation, on the ground, and planning, all leading towards pathway to excellence. Our strategic plan is broken into priorities. One of the things that I talked about in the transition plan is we needed to focus. That I was extremely excited about the strategic plan that we had as a district, but we really need to recognize that priorities are a representation of where you spend your money and how you'll spend your time. And it's not that these are the only things that we can do, it's just saying that these are the primary things that we need to focus on. And if we do that and we concentrate, then over time we will become the district we need to be. It's about strategies. Putting ourselves in a position so that we know whether or not we did what we said we'd do. And making sure that they're tangible strategies. There are things that we can actually do. They're not easy strategies, but they're possible. And then identifying targets. Now, I will tell you, there are some individuals who know me, and I know I have friends watching me on television, and what they will tell you if you had an opportunity to meet them is that I believe in setting ambitious targets. I believe in not allowing ourselves to talk about what we hadn't got done. I believe in committing ourselves to doing what we've never done. Because we can, and because we decide to. Now, the individuals who I've been fortunate enough to work with, and I will tell you that as a teacher, I worked with tremendous teachers. I was led by leaders who I have a great deal of appreciation for. As an assistant principal and principal, I led teachers who would go through a wall for me and their students and the families. So I believe so much in teachers. Anyone who says otherwise clearly hadn't done their studying. And I've been fortunate that I've come into a district of individuals, working with teams of individuals who recognize that we need to do more for our teachers. But we also need to do more for everyone else. And we've identified that we need to have some targets that are ambitious, because when we set them low, when we reach with short arms, fortunate for me, literally I have long arms, but when we reach with short arms and we come up short, we've gotten nowhere. And that leads to frustration. So we've set very real targets to say that we will go for it, and we will move this city forward so that when we look back in 2020, we can say that we did it, and we're on to the next challenge to ensure that we get to 100% in all of our targets. So that's what we're here to talk about. Our strategic priorities. It starts with focus on effective talent programs. That was intentionally number one. Because we know that our success as a district is about our people. Any great organization understands that. I can't come in and solve what it took decades to create in 1 year. What I'm committing over the course of the next 6 is that we will. I didn't come in to be in a district that does not pay its employees amongst the best in the state. Not the region, the state. I've heard individuals advocate for the region. I say you set your bar too low. But in order to do that, it'll take great sacrifice. Because in spite of what some believe, I didn't find the money chest when I walked in. We have real decisions to make. And I'll talk in a moment about how we make them collectively together. So it starts with our people. But it's not just paying them, which is extremely important. We need to find ways to support them, to train them, to invest in their development and growth. On so many different levels, I've met with individuals who want more training. Yes, our teachers, but also our custodians. Our classified individuals, our people serving our kids food every day, our security, they want training. We have to come together and decide that we'll do that, and we'll partner. In order to provide training, that means more time. I'm not a magician, which means that I am not going to be able to find a way to do those things unless we do invest in more time. We must step forward and do these things. Because if we focus on our people, I guarantee you it will pay off for us in spades. Next, we need to become an accountable school district. It starts with our values. We must have values. And we'll be talking about a process that leads to a collective development of values. Because values are not something that I can impose. It's not something a few people sit in a room and create. I've seen people try that. It doesn't work. It's something that involves representation from across multiple stakeholder groups. And it takes rigorous conversation, debate, but it can be achieved. And then once we have those values and we can set to talking about how they show up in how we recruit, how we support our people, how we educate our students, the type of opportunities we provide, how we meet and greet our families, how we hold them, and we recognize that when they are saying to us that they value a school, regardless of who leads it, that we appreciate that and we recognize that the other schools that we have, we need to support them also. But it's not just values. As was mentioned, I am interested in us having deep analysis about where our schools are strong and where we're not as strong. I'm interested in us in having common language around what school quality is. Certainly API is important. And as I've had engagements, and many of you have been in those, you've heard me mention it. 75% of our students go to a school with an API below 800. That's not good enough. We can do better. Not because I said so, but because you're here, our students are here, our teachers are here, our parents, and we know we can do it. But if we get APIs all over 800 and that's all we do, we haven't done enough. Because our parents need to like our schools. Our teachers need to like working there. So do the employees, all the employees. We need to be able to retain leaders and think about their career growth. We need to think about the growth trajectory of all of our employees. And then we must have a process for scaling up more quality schools and addressing schools when they're low quality and being honest when they are. Because what I know is this, that I am here because my mother decided to move me from one city in a neighborhood that was, neighborhoods that were marked by drugs and violence and crime, being in an environment where most of the young men that she knew that were my complexion, with my connections, did not graduate. They had a spot reserved for us in the penitentiary. And most of my adult relatives, that's where they ended up. And many of them are no longer with us. And so she decided to move us to another state to find a great school. And I know that there are parents who are doing that all over Oakland. They're doing everything they can to find a great school. I want to be in partnership with those families to say that it is our responsibility to work to provide that great school in your neighborhood. Now, as was mentioned, I'm agnostic to school governance. I know that I may be in opposition with some other individuals throughout the city, but I believe that parents, like my mother, want their children to be in a quality school. And if it's run by the school district or authorized by the school district, it's still our school. These are all our students. And I'm interested in pursuing a district charter compact because I do believe it's important to have common expectations because this is what it provides for families. I've met parents who have children in both types of schools. One child goes to a district-run school, another child goes to a charter school, and they're saying, why the different systems? The discipline systems aren't aligned, the enrollment systems aren't aligned, and they should be, and they could be. And I want to say that I have not found opposition with our charter partners on this issue. In fact, I found collaboration from our charter schools, and I met with them just yesterday, and they're putting skin in the game, dollars, to help us get this done. So I want to call that out because it's going to take both of us in some serious conversations because they have reason to question our effectiveness. There are individuals who question their desire to be on the same page, and I'm just going to say that we have to put our focus on our children and get it done. And I'm looking to be a part of that. And so when we talk about this work, the next piece is quality community schools. We had an investment in linked learning. This city stepped up in a tremendous way, and we absolutely intend to put 90% of the dollars into our schools because this plan is founded on principles. Those principles, one is students first. Students first is making sure, as I mentioned, that we put our students first when we make decisions. Second, it's equity. Equity, quite simply, means giving each student what they need while holding them to the same high standards. And then the third is integrity, which means that we should be counted on to live up to the commitments that we make. Well, we're saying that we need to focus on linked learning. We need to invest in our schools, invest those dollars in our schools, and we absolutely intend to do so. So the linked learning piece, but what does it take? Because I hear people talk about linked learning as though it begins in high school. It begins early on. We can partner with our parents before they ever send a child to our school. We can have materials available to our parents. We can have resources available to our parents. We can meet our parents where they go. We know they have various places of worship. We know that their children are going to be in community centers, in youth centers. We're going to be engaging with the city in our health centers. We can have material available for those families, helping them understand that although your child is 2, these are the strengths that you have, and these are some specific things you can be doing to ensure your child is ready by the time they get to kindergarten to be as successful as possible. And then it continues once they get into our school. We must provide access to technology to our students. And that comes with a cost, but we have to do it. Our students must engage in opportunities in 21st century libraries. I believe that. Every child should have that. And I say 21st century because it's not about rebuilding an opportunity that I had back in the 80s when I was in elementary school. It's about recognizing that our students need to engage in research, that so much material is at their fingertips and we need to be able to provide it to them electronically. And then we need to make sure that we're engaged in conversation, opportunities for our students to actually do the work, engage in rigorous conversation like I saw yesterday when I was at Hillcrest Elementary School in class after class after class, where the teachers were allowing students to ask questions. And students were challenging each other. And they were engaged in research. And when I saw students get stuck, I saw teachers ask a question and sit back and allow students to figure it out. And I saw that in several other schools, and I want us to do more of that. And so the linked learning is important to start early so that by the time they get to us in high school, we are saying to them that we're not going to offer you a smorgasbord. Nothing against smorgasbord, folks. I like food as much as anyone, but we want to offer a 5-star restaurant experience, which means that we want to ask students, what are you interested in choosing? What are you interested in pursuing, knowing that these are young people, and what the data is saying is that our young people are going to do many things over the course of their lifetime. We want to set them up to have a choice, though, which means that we need to say that we're going to prepare you for a 4-year experience. We're going to educate you about all the different types of experiences you can have, those that require 4-year degrees, those that do not. But we're going to make sure that you know that you come to us with great gifts, and we're going to make sure that if you choose to pursue an opportunity different than a 4-year degree, that it's your choice and not a choice we made for you because we did not prepare you for the 4-year degree. This piece of equity education is extremely important to me, and the challenge is Oakland has so many communities represented. And that's what I mean by that being a challenge is there's no way for me to list them all in the document. Somewhere along the line, all needs to mean all. And I strongly believe that when you list out large numbers of individuals outside of the all, then you don't really mean all. You really meant, well, not all. But this issue of equity-based education is important to me. And I will tell you, I actually started focus on culture responsive education. And I believe in culture responsive education. But I focus on equity-based education because I know that we need to have the muscle within our district to recognize that our communities are different. I've had an opportunity to take tours around the city with some community members, and they've been showing me what's unique about different communities and the makeup of different communities around the city. And I've had an opportunity to do that a few times over the course of the last 2 weeks. And what that left me with is really recognizing that we need to focus on equity for all students. And we need to really be thinking about, in different parts of town and different makeups of schools, what are the strategies that have been proven to be effective with this, whatever population of students we're working with, so that we can ensure that they are successful. And I need expertise, and so we will be establishing an Office of Equity, someone to come on and to work directly with our educators, and we're looking for that expertise. Now, we have it in Dr. Devin Dillon in terms of our Chief Academic Officer, because she certainly cares about equity, and our Chief of Schools, Alan Smith. We have leadership in this area, but we want to make sure that we can go deeper than that. That other educators that we have someone who's always thinking about this issue and how are we connecting with our Latino students, how are we connecting with our Asian Pacific Islanders, how are we ensuring that our Native American students who are graduating at 40% get up to the high academic standards that we have for them. And so we want to ensure that we have people doing that. So I wanted to make sure that I called that out. Now, I'm not going to go through this. I'm just going to show this up here really quickly because this right here is just showing what we said we do, and it's in the document. You see what we say that we're going to do there in terms of the recruiting, the inducting, the leading, the accountable school district piece. You see what we say there in terms of our core values. I forgot to mention the performance management, but that is just quite frankly saying that we need to measure our effectiveness. Folks, the analogy I like to use, and I assume that this will resonate because I know that there are a lot of people who love football and love the Raiders. I would say that the way this works is this. When we're working well centrally, it's like a football game that's well officiated. You don't even know the referees are there. because that's who we are. The game is about the players and the coaches and the fans. Well, the game is about our school leaders, our teachers, our staff, our students. It's not about us. And so we want to make sure that people feel like we're providing a great service and that we're supported. And then the quality community schools piece, and you see what that's about there. So one of the things that I'm most excited about is really saying, as a district and as a city, what we can do to ensure cradle-to-career success. And what this is an opportunity, because I've heard parents say, well, what can I do? And why is this so important? And we wanted to be able to say that at certain ages, there are certain opportunities, milestones, that we want our students to achieve and we can aspire to. And it's not to say that if your student isn't there, that it's too late, because it's not. It's just to say that we can provide opportunities for our students to get there, and resources. And so we're looking to build up resources to support our families, to support our students in reaching each milestone. And you notice that we have grade ranges, because I've seen individuals say, well, it's 0 to 8. Well, what if you're in 3rd grade at age 9? Or what if you get it by 4th grade? It's raised to 12th grade, and we want to ensure that our families understand that we can get this done, and we can partner with you in the city to ensure that it does happen. Now, this work is based on a theory of change that says that our schools is where it's at. I appreciate the fact that a lot of people come down and they say, well, what are you going to do about this, or what are you going to do about that? But it was said by one of the speakers here tonight. Students interact most with their teachers, with their school leaders. I'm in schools a lot. I've been in several schools this week, and all the time that I've spent in schools this week doesn't amount to one day that a student spends with a teacher on a daily basis. So we want to make sure that we recognize that theory of change is there. And I've heard people talk about we need to have earned autonomy. Well, I believe autonomy should just be given, but it should be defined. And so what we're saying is that all schools should have that defined autonomy. We'll come back later and provide an academic guidance document and talk about what those, things that the through line, the things that we should expect in all schools. And then when that doesn't happen, and we're seeing schools not demonstrating capacity, we're not seeing schools focusing on strong site governance. You passed a policy around site governance that involves parent engagement, involves engagement of teachers in decision-making, something I wholeheartedly believe in. When we're not seeing that, then we should get involved. And we should support those schools in a very targeted way around targeted things. Because the rest of their autonomies they should have. And then when we see that's not enough, and we see that we have schools where school is not working, then we will intervene. And we will step in and we will pursue a very assertive solution to address it. As I mentioned when I started, I will allow myself to be smarter than I was yesterday. But I do know this. What I said at that time is students are going to be in 3rd grade one time. Which means that we can't have them go from 3rd grade to 4th grade to 5th grade and be in a school that's not working. And then say, well, I guess they need to try harder, or whatever we say when they're not working. We're going to fix it. And we're going to hopefully be able to do that in a way that is sustaining, but there are times where we're going to have to make difficult decisions, and we will recommend difficult decisions, and the school board will have to determine what's going to happen there, but we certainly are going to be assertive in this regard. And then finally, I want to say this. I've had an opportunity to be here for several months, and I've been excited to be here, but one of the things I've noticed is there's a lot of times where I hear individuals say, well, what are you going to do? Well, what are you going to do? And I don't mean like you, like me. I mean you like the district. And I've said to several individuals, I said, no, it's about what are we going to do? How are we going to solve it? So I'm announcing here tonight that we are establishing 3 committees. These committees are aligned to the priorities that we have. These committees will be made up of stakeholders that represent different groups of individuals. We're asking board members, our board member-elects, to serve on these committees. We need teachers. We need student representatives and school leaders and community members. And we need to come together and we need to build what we want to see in terms of our effective talent programs. We need to build and design and study what an accountable school district would look like and decide to do it and make recommendations up to our school board on how to do it and policies that support it. And then we need to work on and develop and lay out a very clear process that identifies how we focus on quality and putting the needs of our students first. And why do we do that? We do that because we want our focus and attention to be on every child, because we believe that they come to us with great gifts. We believe in our ability to make a difference for them. We want them to have fun and have joy in their learning experiences, because we want every student to thrive. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to take